Jared here, back again at Cedar Point. Today I want to do something a little bit different than we usually do when we're in an amusement park. Usually I like to just kind of spend the day, show you the experiences that I'm doing, and just having a good time. But today, I think what I want to do is start right here at the beginning of the park and walk the entire park. Kind of give you an idea of what the park looks like, see if you can get an accurate depiction of what's going on, to see if this is the sort of thing you want to come and visit. I highly recommend you come to Cedar Point. It's one of my very favorite parks. Now, I'm not going to just leave the camera on and walk the entire park, because it's going to be a little bit too shaky. So what I want to do is do it in clips. So let's get started. As you can see, we're right here at the entrance, and the very first ride you come to are Ocean Motion, which is a little rocking boat, and the Midway Carousel. Also, actually, the very first thing you come to when you get here on your immediate right is Guest Services, where you can go in if you have any things that need to be addressed. You can also pick up one of the parent swap passes. So this is the main midway here at Cedar Point, right past the carousel, and on either side of this midway are various merchandise shops and general places where you can get some food and refreshments. And if you keep walking, you come to the cable cars, which you can actually ride and bypass the entire midway. Also, directly across from the cable cars is the Jack Eldridge Theater. Now, I got a little tip about this theater. During the summer, they put on various shows. One year it was like a magic show. I think they do little singing shows or whatever. But this is a very good location to come on those really hot summer days if you want to just cool off, because it is air conditioned in there. But today's a very windy day, so I apologize for any wind noise. But as we're going to continue our walk up the midway, we're going to come to our very first roller coaster entrance, the Raptor. Now, this is one of my very favorite roller coasters. It's getting a little bit old, but it's still a really good suspended roller coaster. Just kind of a quick view of it before we move on. Also, directly across from the Raptor, there's just a bunch of typical little carnival games. Now, they're not open today, but you know, the kind of things where you like shoot the clown in the mouth and blow up the balloon, or I don't know, pick a duck out of the water to win a prize, that kind of stuff. Just a short distance away from the Raptor entrance, where we actually have a split here at Cedar Point. We're going to go left here, because there's a couple of roller coasters down that way, which means we're actually going to bypass some of this midway. But I want to show you, all along the midway, they do have a bunch of food trucks, if you're interested in. Now, I've actually eaten at several of these, and they're really good. It's good quality food truck food. But here we are splitting off the midway, and we're going to head back to this little side section where there's a couple roller coasters. The first coaster back here is one of the oldest coasters in the park, the Blue Streak. And it's an older, maybe the oldest coaster they currently have here at Cedar Point, wooden roller coaster. It's pretty fun, pretty fast coaster. And right directly next to it is one of the newer coasters, the Valraven. And here we go, walking up to the entrance of the Valraven. This is one of my favorite roller coasters here. It is just an awesome dive coaster. So as we exit the Valraven and then continue walking in the direction we were heading, we come to this little spot where you can go out that exit right there, down a dock, and visit Famous Dave's Barbecue, or you can turn here back towards the midway. This is the direction we came from, down the midway. As you can see, that there is a Snoopy boutique and a Snoopy sweet shop, as well as some antique cars down that way. But that's not where we're headed next. We're going to continue heading this way, and then we're going to hang a hard left right here, past the stage, and we're going to head back towards the railroad station. As you can see there, that is the second cable car station. So we're approaching what I consider the middle of the park. We've got the Iron Dragon right here. We're going to come up here to the train station, which you can take to ride to the very back of the park. There's also another couple roller coasters up along this way. The first of which is the Rougarou, which is the old Mantis. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It wasn't that long ago they converted it over to the Rougarou. But you can turn left here and cross these railroad tracks to get to the Millennium Force. Right there, Millennium Force, which, if I'm reading that sign correctly, it says there is currently a 2-hour wait. Holy crow. Look at the size of that llama. Alright, let's keep walking, because we're going to start heading into my favorite section of the park here in a second. So here we go, moving just past the Millennium Force, and they've got a couple restaurants back here before we hit Frontier Trail. You got some Panda Express over there. And, well, I guess we got one restaurant, Panda Express. The other one is this Red Garter bar, saloon type thing where they've got some live shows going. On real hot days, I like to kind of come in here and relax. Yeah, I'll pop into the Red Garter Saloon for just a second to kind of show you. There's a few people up here. It is not a hot day today, but on a hot day, you can kind of get out of the sun in here. It's probably a good place to check out the stage up here on the balcony. I'm not sure how often they do their shows, or if they're even doing shows at all today. All right, just outside of Red Garter Saloon, we're gonna keep on walking, heading to the back of the park. There's a couple little more interesting food stands that you can get right here outside the Red Garter Saloon. Toot Sweets and Annie Ann's Cinnabon, and I guess some CJ Provisions fresh brewed coffee. Lindsay, is this the area in the summer that they do the kettle corn, or is that further in the Frontier Trail? Is it? Okay. Obviously they're not doing that today, but there is also a Coke refill station right back here. So all right, let's keep going because we're almost to the Frontier Trail. We are now coming up to the little, I don't know what you would call it. I just call it a covered bridge, but it's not a covered bridge. It's just some sort of little tunnel. Heading back into the Frontier Trail. And just right outside our covered bridge slash tunnel, we are now entering the Frontier Trail. My favorite part of the park. Pretty calm back here compared to the rest of the park at the moment. And back here you can get some horsey rides. Just moving a little bit further into the Frontier Trail. Just checking out all the things that you can see while you're in here. Couple little shops over there, a little fake jail. One of those little gemstone mining things where you buy the little dirt bags and stick them in there and see what you get. We are approaching the end of the little Frontier Trail area, but before we do, there is a petting zoo. Across from the petting farm is the entrance to the Forbidden Frontier Adventure Island, which should be open here in a couple of weeks, as well as the Frontier Fling, which I think that dude used to be a prop for Halloween, but not anymore. But this is one of those upcharge events where you pay, I don't know how much because it's not open at the moment, but you get on it and it just launches you in the air. So we've just slightly moved up past the entrance to the Forbidden Frontier. You can see we're at the barnyard, which is a cool little petting zoo that you can come feed the animals for a fee and walk around. All kinds of cute little things in there. Moving up just past the petting zoo is the entrance to Thunder Canyon. It's not up and running yet because it's still cold. That's where it is. And then you kind of take a hard right and start heading towards this bridge over here that'll take you back to the very back of the park. So we are now heading back into the Frontier Town area. But before you do, right there to the left is a glass blowing place. A glass blowing place, and they do daily demonstrations. The sun keeps peeking in and out of the clouds. As you can see now, we are heading into Frontier Town, or the beginning of Frontier Town anyway. We've got a Chick-fil-A over there, and we're going to be coming up on the Cedar Point Museum here in a second. We just rounded the corner, and we're going to walk up here to the museum and the little town square area. And here we are in front of the Town Hall Museum, or Cedar Point Museum as I like to call it. Also over here is the entrance to the Skyhawk Cedar Creek Mine Ride. This cool little town square gazebo type area where you can kind of go in and sit. I really like this area. And the antique cars. We're going to move out of that little center area, the town center area, and head back further into Frontier Town. Back here in this part of Frontier Town are the entrances to two of the more popular roller coasters at Cedar Point. They're going to have some of the longest wait times on any given day, Steel Vengeance and the Mavericks. And before we get to the Maverick, you can see there's another one of those Coke refill places, as well as the old barbecue place that looks like it's still open. So now it looks like Cedar Point's going to be rolling with two barbecue restaurants. Well, three if you count Famous Dave's just outside the park. Right back here is also the area where they used to do the Brew and Barbecue. They've renamed it to the Frontier Festival for this season. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be right in this same area. Now that is a really cool, fun thing to come and do. So if you get the opportunity, I think opening day for that is June 7th. I know I'll be here. And right here we've got the entrance to the Maverick, which let's go check the wait time right now. That's about an hour according to that sign. And then back here is the train station. This is where I showed you the middle of the park, the pickup. This is where it drops you off at, right next to the Steel Vengeance. So the entrance to Steel Vengeance is in the furthest most part of the park, I would say. It's kind of not difficult to get to, but it is. If you're coming in from the front entrance, it's going to be the longest walk to a ride. Back over here on the other side of these railroad tracks is the Steel Vengeance entrance, which is probably going to be the most popular ride this year. Before I leave Frontier Town and head up to the front of the park, I do want to make one last point. This Last Chance Saloon, is also another good place. You can kind of duck in on a hot day and relax. They got live shows in there and cold beer. So we're about to head out of the Frontier Town, cross those railroad tracks into the Gemini Midway. But first, I kind of wanted to show this, the Shady Hollow. Just a fun little spot you can kind of hang out in. Grab a rocking chair. Looks like some people are playing Jenga blocks. Last year I saw people playing cornhole back here. I think it's called cornhole, isn't it? That beanbag game?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, time to move into the Gemini Midway. First thing you see in the Gemini Midway coming from Frontier Town is the Slingshot. It's another one of those upcharge attractions that they have here at Cedar Point. I wouldn't be caught dead on that thing, but a lot of people do pay to do it. It's not running today, but it's usually pretty fun to watch the reactions of people getting in there, getting slung up in the air too. And right directly next door to the Slingshot is the entrance to the Gemini, main attraction of the Gemini Midway. Ooh, they're back to running 2 trains. A second ago they were only running blue. And a couple more of the little fast, quick service areas here in the Gemini Midway that you can get some food. And also up ahead is the entrance to Camp Snoopy. There are actually 2 entrances to Camp Snoopy, and I will quickly walk through there and show that, but I'm going to do it from the other entrance. Up ahead we got a couple flat rides, the Monster and the Lake Erie Eagles. As well as this, right outside the exit of the Pipe Scream is one of those frozen yogurt places where you can kind of go in and load up as many toppings as you want, and you pay by the pound. And right next to that is another Coke refill station. We just walk a few feet past the yogurt place and the Coke refill station, and we come to the second entrance, Camp Snoopy. That's one of the things I love the most about the Cedar Fair parks, is just how many things they have for young kids to do if you do come here. This is one of 3 kid areas. So this particular Camp Snoopy in the back of the park, and then there's Planet Snoopy up in the front of the park. I like that. It gives you kind of a choice whether or not you're going to be riding big rides in the front and don't want to be too far, you know, from whoever is doing the kid rides, or in the back of the park. And we're starting to approach that other entrance to Camp Snoopy. Camp Snoopy does have 2 roller coasters, the Wilderness Run over there, and the Woodstock Express over here. I can get a good shot of the Woodstock Express. The Wilderness Run is kind of in the woods and hard to see. Here's a good look at the here's a good look at the Woodstock Express. Pretty good little coaster for the little guys and girls. The Wilderness Run is actually the old Gemini Junior. I don't know if anybody remembers that. And here is the exit or other entrance of Camp Snoopy. And right here back at the entrance of Camp Snoopy, right across from it, is the new Backbeat Cube Barbecue Smokehouse that Cedar Point just put in. Moving past the new barbecue, right there is the entrance to Cedar Shores, formerly Soak City. And there we go, Magnum XL 200. And right across from it, it's a bad shot of it, but the Top Thrill Dragster. Here's a better look at the Top Thrill Dragster. Over 400 foot that hill is. That's a fun ride. It usually has a pretty decent wait time. Nice launch coaster. And up here, moving past the Magnum and the Top Thrill Dragster, we're going to come up to the loading dock for the Corkscrew. This is one of the older coasters here at Cedar Point. The official entrance to the Top Thrill Dragster is actually right there, right after the stadium seating, where you can sit and watch the Top Thrill Dragster launch, where you can watch the members of your party riding it. And right directly behind those bleachers as you sit them is the actual entrance to the Corkscrew, which this year I believe they repainted all the trains. And moving past Corkscrew, we got another flat ride. I don't know if this one's Super Himalaya. Yes, it is Super Himalaya. And then we're going to move up here past Top Thrill Dragster, but across from the exit is the Power Tower. That is, two of those drop. They're like, they go up to the top and drop. The other two accelerate and shoot you up into the air. So right past the Power Tower and the Top Thrill Dragster, there's kind of like a long stretch here where there's nothing. Because of this long stretch of nothing, I'm just going to pick it up once I reach the end of this. After the long walk from the Top Thrill Dragster exit and the Power Tower, the first thing you come to is the exit to the cable cars. As we saw those earlier, so you can tell where we're at back here. And there is a couple flat rides, the Scrambler and the Matterhorn. Well, now that we've made it back to the Midway, we've got one last section of the park to make it to. So instead of going straight out the entrance, or straight up the Midway towards the entrance, we're gonna hang left. And walking this way to this section of the park does kind of feel like you're taking like sort of a back alley or a back way. But the first thing we're going to see as we come around the corner here is Planet Snoopy. So we're going to pop into here and take a quick spin around Planet Snoopy and show you the difference between Planet Snoopy and Camp Snoopy. It does have a lot of the same rides, but there is one or two differences. Now this side of the park is a lot windier than the rest of the park. One thing that they have here that they don't have in Camp Snoopy is the little Woodstock whirlybirds. Look like little nests. And we're going to continue around here. You can see there's a back entrance to get into the Snoopy boutique. We're not going to go in there today. But the other thing that Planet Snoopy has, Camp Snoopy does not, is a little railroad train. As well as some Peanuts Road Rally. These are like just giant 4x4s that you can ride. Pretty fun little ride. So that's about the main differences, except for one more little thing that Planet Snoopy has. Joe Cool's Driving School. Little bumper cars. Directly as you exit Planet Snoopy, the first thing you'll see here is the Windrunner, which is one of those gigantic tower rides that goes up in the air and then just spins in a circle. And then you can kind of continue down this Midway. I don't remember what they were kind of calling this little Midway here, but as you can see, we've got a few rides. We've got the Wicked Twister, which doesn't seem to run very often, as well as the giant Ferris wheel. Let's continue down here and see what else we got. As you can see, not that far from Joe Cool's Driving School bumper cars are the regular bumper cars. Directly across from those is a Tiki Twirl, and the giant Ferris wheel, and Troika Troika Troika. That's one of my favorite rides here. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites. I'm really trying to power through this last little stretch. It's because of the wind and the cold. But as you can see here, just past the bumper cars up on the right is Max Air. And back here, the final ride of this stretch is the Gatekeeper roller coaster. This is a fantastic roller coaster, and it is the last ride in this little stretch. What we're gonna do now is turn up this direction and head up back towards the Midway. We're heading up back towards the Midway. They've got a bunch more of those carnival type games. And up here on the right is Kid Arthur, or King Arthur, I'm not sure exactly what they're calling it. It's Kitty Kingdom. This is another little kid area, but this is for kids that even smaller than the kids that may do some of the rides at Planet Snoopy and Camp Snoopy. And there we go, we pop right back out into the Midway by the Raptor. And back out to the fountain. I think that's gonna do it for this video. Tried to keep it short and sweet. Just wanted to show the park. I didn't go into too much detail on the different restaurants or merch shops or the other little attractions you could do here. I just wanted to give an idea of how big the park was and where a few of the rides were. So, thank you for watching.